En nu heb ik het groot genoegen om het woord te geven aan iemand die direct vanuit Amerika naar België is ingevlogen. Meneer Patrick Collignon heeft een massale ervaring in autoproductie en in de truckwereld. U was tot 2019 vice-president binnen de Volvo Trucks Amerika-organisatie en dan hebt u uw eigen organisatie opgericht, etrova Commercial Vehicles in Noord-Amerika. En ik ben ook chairman of the board van een Europees bedrijf, etrova. En we luisteren nu aandachtig naar wat u gaat zeggen over de elektrificatie van onze transportsector en over een niet wat disruptieve manier om het te versnellen. Patrick, aan u het woord.
Dank u wel, Claude. My home base is the United States, and so I immediately feel at home here when I see a picture of a beautiful cowboy truck. So it doesn't get any better than that. Since my family name is as American as it gets, Collignon, you will not be surprised that I will address you today in English. Huh? All joking aside, I am here to announce a brand new European initiative with the aim to help accelerate the market acceptance of zero-emission commercial vehicles. Everybody here present understands the full importance of commercial vehicles to our economy. Without the trucks, goods gets not delivered. This is the heart of our economy. At the same time, we also know and understand that commercial vehicles are a large contributor to the global CO2 emissions. We also know that we need to reduce the CO2 emissions in order to make the world livable for the next generations to come, including my new granddaughter. So governments across the world have been addressing this issue by putting tough targets, putting regulations across the world. Yet, there is a mathematical problem. A mathematical problem is very simple. Against all the targets, there is the reality of what we put in the market. On average, between 4–5% product renewal in the market, it will take 20 years to transition entirely from fossil fuel drivelines to zero-emission drivelines. Many of the governments in the world have put targets by 2030. Well, in order to reach those targets, every OEM today has to produce 100% zero-emission vehicles, or you will not get there. So as much as we applaud the development of new zero-emission vehicles, we know that it will be insufficient to reach the targets and solve the bigger problem that is ahead of us. And in a way, it reminds me a lot of what happened in 2005 and 2006 when I was plant manager in the Volvo plant in Ghent. We addressed our ambition to become the first CO2 neutral automotive factory in the world. Everybody around us said it's not possible. The technology is not there. The cost will be enormous. And it will take another 10–15 years before we are ready to even introduce such an idea. Well, in 2007, I had the great pleasure of announcing that the Volvo truck plant in Ghent was the first CO2 neutral automotive plant, commercial vehicle plant in the world. In a similar way, we are surrounded right now by people that try to convince us that acceleration of zero-emission commercial vehicles is impossible. It takes too long, the technology might not be there, the cost will be horrendous, and therefore it will still take so many years before we get here. Well, what we want to prove is the opposite, that it is possible. As Claude said, in 2020, after leaving the Volvo Group, I founded etrova Commercial Vehicles in the United States with the aim to accelerate the market acceptance of zero-emission commercial vehicles. Today, here at Passion for Trucks, I have the great honor to introduce and announce a European initiative. a group of industry veterans have founded etrova. Etrova and Trova Commercial Vehicles share the same passion. Two independent companies pursuing the same product planning and the same market entry model, one in North America, the other one in Europe. etrova is a startup. It's a startup with 250 years of industry experience and industry leadership. So with that, we feel very happy, very comfortable that we will be able to achieve our objectives. The idea of etrova and Trova Commercial Vehicle is to introduce in the market a unique repowering program which we call D to E to A. The ambition is to take existing diesel vehicles out of the market, convert them to battery electric or convert them to a zero emission platform, and that platform is already the basis for what will be the next challenge, autonomous driving, the expose given by Claude here just earlier. It's a modular concept. It's a concept that today is focusing on battery electric drivelines. At the same time, the architecture will allow us to introduce fuel cell technology when the time is right. So the uniqueness of asset recovery or a D2E program is that not only with such a program do we accelerate the availability of zero-emission commercial vehicles, not only do we reduce the CO2 emissions at the tailpipe, but we also reduce the CO2 footprint at the tailpipe of the factories. Today, in a world where supply chain issues are a big thing, what better than to use the existing population of vehicles that's out there to provide part of the solution that is needed for this world. Yes, we recognize, applaud all OEMs introducing new vehicles, and we do not intend to step in competition with the large established OEMs, but we want to provide a complementary solution in achieving the targets. So a unique modular driveline platform, that in combination with an even more important new industrialization model. The objective of the D to E to A is to bring a truck into conversion locations and convert a diesel truck within 48 hours into an electric commercial vehicles. 48 hours, aka 1 week of lead time. And that at a significant lower cost compared to a new vehicle. So with the D to E to A program, we already have two solutions that are challenges today. It's the cost of battery electric commercial vehicles or zero emission commercial vehicles, as well as the availability. At the same time, the platform allows us to be modular and potentially deal with hydrogen and fuel cell technology, as well as create as a next step the availability to introduce autonomous driving. This morning, driving from Antwerp to Brussels, I was reminded again that Belgium still has a small mobility problem. Congestion has not changed since I left Belgium 14 years ago. I think it only got worse. Driver shortages, accident prevention, all of those aspects are parallel to the challenge of CO2 reduction. And obviously with a D to E to A program, we want to provide a platform that can handle these challenges. So from here on, we work with a team in Limburg, Flanders Make, to help us develop and transplant the driveline solution that we have already put in place in the United States and put that into a European truck platform. So from here on, the team of etrova, similar to what we have done in the United States, will search for partners. We will look for strategic partners. On one end, we obviously will be looking for industrial partners across Europe, and that can be your traditional VAA, value-added assembly partners, but it can also be dealers Dealers that today also see a shift in their operating model from a service to maybe a model that takes a different position into this new value proposition. But it can be other companies that today are not at all in the commercial vehicle business. And that's the beauty about the paradigm shift that we are amidst, is that new players can claim a new stake into the total value proposition. So we're looking for industrial partners. We will also obviously be looking for strategic partners, companies that want to accelerate the conversion of their fleets from fossil fuel drivelines to zero emission drivelines. And obviously, very important, is we want to establish an industrial footprint across Europe. So we will be looking for localities where we can implement these transformation micro factories. So with that, Claude, this is the introduction to etrova and with our D2E to A program. So no better location than here in Brussels, where there is passion for trucks combined with passion for the environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patrick. I think this is an important moment in Belgian transport history.
Thank you.
This is called retrofit in my own language. I think we need also some legislation to be adapted to make retrofit easy for transport operators. Have you any take on that?
We have seen that several countries in Europe are taking a different approach to retrofit, are recognizing it. I'm not extremely familiar with all the specifics in Europe. I should address the team that is handling these matters here. But indeed, repowering, as we like to call it, it is something that should deserve exact the same attention as new vehicle sale, for several reasons. First of all, as I said, availability. I mean, if we really want to achieve the targets set out by governments by 2030, it's mathematically not possible. I mean, as I said, it would require every OEM today to make 100% zero-emission vehicles, and we know we are far away from that. There's a massive amount, great initiatives, but we need to find additional solutions to reach those targets. Otherwise, those targets will only remain targets that, once again, will not be achieved. So there are alternative solutions, but we obviously count on the governments to recognize that this will require a different thinking hat, and obviously, Claude, as you say, recognizing repowering just as valuable as new vehicle sales. Huh?
I personally have a ton of questions for you, but you know we have a live stream interview later in the day. So I would like first to open the floor to questions from the audience. My colleague Michiel is there with the microphone. Questions may be asked in French or Dutch as well. So who wants to shoot first? I hope someone at least has one question.
Hello.
Come on, don't be shy.
Hello. Well, I got a question, Mr. Collignon. The etrova plant will be located in Limburg. Have you already any specific locations in mind? Genk comes to mind with its history in automotive, but maybe you have targeted certain places?
Well, the answer is there's no decision yet on any industrial location in Europe. We do work with Flanders Make, and they are located in Genk. They're located in Limburg, Lommel, I believe. That's a decision that has been taken. Yet the industrialization is still open. We will be looking for locations across Europe to deploy what we call these micro plants in order to facilitate the transplant or the repowering concept. Huh?
Thank you.
Any further questions? Zijn er andere vragen? Die mogen in het Nederlands worden gesteld. Même les questions en français. Il n'y a pas de problème, on prend tout. Voilà, je vois Michiel Keus.
Good morning. I have a small question about if you convert a current diesel truck into an electric truck, how does the registration works? so that we actually all count these trucks as zero emission trucks?
I don't have a clear answer on that yet. I think part of the work that will be happening with the etrova team is further explore. In the United States, we are, you can say, at the crossroad. In the sense that our current vehicles that we have on the road, they are retitled as zero-emission vehicles with the same VIN number. But there is obviously rationale to, you can say, find ways to register these vehicles as new vehicles with a new VIN number, with a new homologation and all of that. I think don't know yet what the best way will be here in Europe. I think the next year, when the team is fully up and running, obviously that will be one of the challenges to investigate, potentially also with the help of Flanders Make, potentially with the help of several federations here in the country, to see what is the best approach to take. Obviously, there would be a lot of rationale to keep the current VIN number as part of the solution.
Yeah, okay, because one of the challenges is going to be that we need to convince the governments that we have a zero-emission truck if we want to enter the cities. And that's a little bit an issue nowadays if we come up with a zero-emission driveline on a earlier based diesel engine.
Right.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Anything else? Yes. You see, it's always the first question that's the most difficult. Afterwards, it just flows.
By when do you expect that the first trucks will be reconverted?
Well, in the very first place, of course, it depends on the timeline and the work with Flanders Make. We've started the development work relatively recent. The good thing is, again, the aim between the two entities is to have shared technology, shared supply chain management, and obviously a shared brand image. The good thing is that the high voltage architecture is developed in the United States. The beauty is that we don't have any emission restrictions of bringing that technology now from the United States to Europe. So the architecture, including also the energy storage systems, is developed. Now it's a matter of introducing and integrating that solution in a European truck. I think everybody here present knows that an American truck is not a European truck. There are substantial differences. For example, on the low voltage side, North America still operates entirely on a 12-volt system. Europe obviously has a 24-volt low voltage system. Brake systems are different. So there is a good deal of work that needs to happen for our modular high voltage driveline system to be incorporated into European trucks. That's the challenge today in the hands of Flanders Make. Our objective is to find customers with whom we can test these vehicles over the course of 2023. So that's the objective, but again, a lot will depend on the hurdles, on the acceleration that we can find in order to introduce the driveline architecture in a European truck.
Thank you.
I personally hope that a Belgian transport company can be within the first batch of test beds.
We hope so too, Claude, and I think obviously there are a lot of fleets that have corporate social responsibility as part of their core values. There's a lot of entities, think for example the Post, that have almost a public responsibility to help accelerate what I always call the market acceptance of zero-emission commercial vehicles. We know that there will be fleets that will only buy new vehicles, and that's absolutely perfect, because the challenge with the paradigm shift today in the automotive industry is that the world is fading out where we will only have one driveline solution. I mean, in order to reach the targets that the world needs to reach, it will be a portfolio of quite diversified offerings. And it's not so much a matter of getting into competition with each other, but embracing that there are different solutions aiming to solve the same problems. And with etrova, we want to be part of solving part of the solution here in Europe.
Okay.